Joining us now is Donna Baringer, former state rep, running for city comptroller, one of 3 candidates. Only 2 can advance to that runoff on April 8. Why will you be one of them?
Well, I have been serving in the city of St. Louis since 2003. And a lot of people say, well, that was a long time ago. And I go, well, I didn't get into politics on purpose. In fact, I never planned to be in politics. I was running a community development corporation. And so someone had watched me and seen all the development I'd done on South Kings Highway. And so they asked me to run for alderman in 2002, which I did. And then I was an alderman for 14 years here in the city of St. Louis. And of those 8 years, I was on the budget, so I balanced the budget for the city for 8 years. And then I went on to the State House. And I've been in the State House for 8 years, but I served as the ranking member of the Fiscal Review. And I have been doing nothing but deep diving into the city of St. Louis and the ARPA funds and the budget, because it was just something I always did.
So you feel that beyond just the name recognition of voters having seen your name on a ballot for that many years, the experience itself would apply to this role. What would change for workers in the comptroller's office if you became their new boss?
Well, let me back up just a second, because you asked me about my area. I have represented a huge chunk of South St. Louis for a very long time, and I always communicate with a newsletter. So I'm very detail oriented. And when I go to neighborhood meetings, and I go to all of them, that's the difference. I don't just serve, and you might see me once in a while. I'm at every event. I'm at everything. And people know that I will give them the facts, and I will communicate. That's transparency and accountability are huge in what I do.
The Board of Aldermen has already allocated $37 million to North City. And the deadline, the federal deadline to do that has come and gone. Mm-hmm. So there is nothing that the Board of Aldermen can now do to change where that money goes. The Comptroller and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment might be able to change how that money is spent. Would you make any changes to it?
The change I would make is I would fast track it. And the reason I say it like that is because the actual Comptroller's office is supposed to set up accounts. So when the money comes down, the ARPA funds, they're supposed to have an account set up so that the department, like SEMA, City Emergency Management, can draw down from that money. If those accounts aren't set up in time, right, that means we slow down the process of getting the money out the door. And
are you suggesting that the current Comptroller has slowed down the process of spending ARPA money?
There has been a couple of situations that were of concern for people. And so I said, well, then what we need to do is we need to make sure, because of what's about to happen, this money has been committed, has been spent.
That money went to SLDC, though. It didn't go to the Comptroller's office.
Not that particular role did not, but there were SEMA funds that were supposed to be set up through the Comptroller's office, and they were supposed to be able to draw down those funds. Mm-hmm. And that took a long time to get that account set up. So
I presume that it either takes a change in the way people do business in the Comptroller's office or more bodies doing the work. I don't know.
Yes, so I do. The actual office is supposed to have 84 employees in it. And when I checked back in the summer, it only had 53. So they are severely understaffed and they're overworked.
Are they underpaid?
I don't know that because I don't know their payroll. But what I can tell you is I've met a lot of people who used to work in the Comptroller's office, that liked working in the Comptroller's office, but just couldn't take the pressure cooker. And they went on to different departments that would come back.
So you're saying if the voters elect you, then the Comptroller's office is going to have a resurgence of employees there?
Right.
How will voters feel that in their day-to-day lives?
Well, all the different departments that are handled. So, and I wanted to tell you that I can't memorize this completely, but people don't realize that the Comptroller's office has 10 sections to it. So it has accounting services, asset management, contract administration, federal grants, finance and development, financial reporting, gateway transportation center, internal audit, payroll services, and tax increment financing. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of things in it, and some of those things, like the Gateway Transportation Center, which is the bus and train depot down here, we just passed that Prop B, which gives us the ability to, I'm not Prop B, I apologize, Prop T for transportation. That would allow us to put the bus and the train terminal over under transportation. We also have the municipal garages. And there is a policy on travel for the city of St. Louis. And what it is that if you take a car in the city of St. Louis, you're supposed to turn it into the municipal garage, which is under the comptroller's office, and you're supposed to log the miles, but it's supposed to be turned in every Friday. Someone's supposed to look at it. Someone's supposed to audit to see what the miles are. This recent kerfuffle that they had with the personnel director, that would have been caught had the comptroller's office been auditing the car mileage and the cars, making sure they were returned to the municipal garage.
No, she was caught.
Correct, but it would have been caught in an audit prior to this. You wouldn't have had to wait for someone to say, oh, this was done this. It was not caught by the comptroller's office.
When those audits don't happen every day. They,
No.
They happen how often?
Well, I was told they're not doing them at all because they're understaffed.
Oh, it's your belief that they're, so she was caught fairly quickly is what I'm suggesting. I don't know that the audit would have caught it before they actually caught it, but perhaps there is a point to make there. When you look at the transparency, you mentioned the audit role that the comptroller plays, running the checkbook, the money coming in, the money going out. Can you commit that if the voters elect you for 4 years, that by the time you wrapped up that term in office, that every contract, every expense that the city makes will be visible online in a portal somewhere?
Well, that's what I have suggested is we do a dashboard. I told you there were 10 areas, and there'll probably be more than 10, but I would definitely put a dashboard on the website of the comptroller's office. I need people to know all the different roles and where they are, especially with the tips.
For people's money, why not put it all on the website? Every contract.
Right, a public portal. I don't have a problem with that. I've never had, I did that at the state level
So
as
your
well.
dashboard, I just heard you say 10 things on a dashboard. I didn't
Right.
get the impression that maybe it did mean every contract.
Well, it would mean whatever, where those contracts would fall, because they have contracts for everything, contracts for the airport, contracts here, contracts there. So I don't know what area it would fall in, but yeah, the contracts would be, if they're under that department or they're separate, yes, absolutely. Especially the tips, people don't understand. We have tax increment financing that should have come back on the rolls so that it could start paying the taxes back to the city. But because we don't have the personnel in the department, they went ahead and they went to go for a contract. And right now we've paid $1.8 million for a contract for IT to start calculating the TIFs, the SIDs, the bids for the city of St. Louis because we're not accurately able to calculate them. But let's talk about payroll. We also do payroll. And in the payroll, if you work for the city of St. Louis, you pay an earnings tax. Well, when we went to file to run for office this time, when I got there to pay my money, because you have to prove you've paid your taxes, but when the aldermen got there, they were told they hadn't paid their earnings tax for 2024. And they were like, what are you talking about?
It wasn't withheld from their payroll?
No, it was not withheld from their paycheck. So how do you know how much money you have coming in for earnings tax if you're not even getting the city employees' deductions?
Yeah, you're suggesting, so did I hear you, I want to back up to
Sure.
like 3 points ago. Were you suggesting that there were expired TIFs that are still somehow on, that the city is leaving money on the table?
No, what I'm saying is that there have been concerns that you could pay them, you could get them settled earlier, like they do in Kansas City. Also in Kansas City, I could walk into the office, and right now I could say, how many TIFs do we have? When
This is basically a pocket of, or an area where the city says we're not going to collect taxes here for a period of time, for a greater
Correct.
good, but
Right.
there's some agreement at some point
Tax
many years
abatement.
ago says we're going to not collect taxes
Right.
here, and you think that the city could start collecting those taxes faster.
Right, if we get the ball rolling with the people. We had staff, that was their only job. Now we don't have the staff. So then they went out to get IT, so they were going to get a contract to have an outsider do this work.
I asked your one of your opponents, Celeste Metcalf, this question. I'll ask it to you. If you were elected to the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, one of these three powerful people, positions in the city of St. Louis, and the question came across your desk, like it came across the desk of Darlene Green in the last year or two, would you keep ShotSpotter or would you get rid of it?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you brought up Board of Estimate and Apportionment because a lot of people don't know that that is the three most powerful positions in the city of St. Louis.
Every contract, every penny that the
Yes,
city spends,
everything.
you have a say.
Everything.
You keeping ShotSpotter or you getting rid of it?
I didn't know someone wanted to get rid of it, so
The president of the board voted to get rid of it,
Oh,
Megan
okay.
Green. The mayor voted along with Darlene Green to keep it for now, but it was a
Yep.
short extension.
Yep.
That's a question that the next
Yeah.
comptroller is going to face. What are you doing?
I would keep it because I actually have seen it work. So when I was an alderman, it was a horrific situation, but there was a grandmother sitting in a rocking chair on her front porch in North City. And all of a sudden she starts, she screams, she calls 911, she screams, said, they shot my baby, they shot my baby. Well, what had happened is that there was a gun battle and she just happened to be in the middle of it. Well, the shot spotter up there was able to triangulate where the shots came from. All the cameras on everyone's houses gave you the visuals, but it also showed you the unfortunate visual of the child being hit by a bullet. And it was the shot spotter that helped them find and get the people that were shooting the guns.
Some of the critics of a program like this say that too often it's putting up surveillance infrastructure in poor communities, often communities of color, and it doesn't always, it sometimes leads police down a wild goose chase, chasing after a garage lid or a car door and not a gunshot.
Right. No, the triangulation, so there's a very clear sound, and I wish I had the technical terms
It's
that
a
the police
piercing,
use.
audible, or decibel.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not going to be confused for the slamming of your dumpster. That's not going to happen. It knows exactly what a gunshot sounds like.
You seem convinced that you would extend this program.
Right, but I would also include the neighborhood. So that's the one thing that I always tell everyone. I'm in the neighborhood, and I will listen to what everyone says, but at the same time, I also will bring to the table what facts are for it or against it, whatever it is. But with the ShotSpotter, we can prove that it has helped and deter crime because you know that you'll be able. So if I'm at my house right now, and I don't have ShotSpotter, and I hear shots fired out of the city of St. Louis, number one, I'll call 911. Nothing may happen there. But number two, they're not going to be able to do anything because if I can't tell them where the gunfire came from, they can't chase something they don't know.
Yeah, it's hard when someone's calling in because they thought they heard something, they don't know which direction it came from. So that zeroing in that piece of technology, certainly, at least police tell us, can help them expedite their pursuit. Last question before we let you go, and thank you for your time here, but how do you evaluate the job that Comptroller Green has done so far?
Well, I tell people that when you've been in a position for 30 years and no one has run against you, so you've not had to actually run a campaign, so you don't actually have to go to the people and show them what you do and how you've done. So you don't get a report card, basically. And so I tell people, I said, I think you get stale. I think anyone who sits anywhere too long, I believe in a succession plan. When I was going to run for state rep, I found my replacement. When I was going to become, when I was termed out with the state, I found a person, mentored them, and had them step into my shoes. I love what I do. I am a public servant. And so I would not want just anyone to take my position. But I also believe that you should help mentor and launch younger people's careers. Don't stay around and get stale.
How long would you stay in the job?
Well, 1 or 2 terms, because that's all it needs to fix it. This is an office that needs somebody to come in with a fresh set of eyes, fresh set of ideas. It's a leadership role. When I was on the board of aldermen, the comptroller never came to the budget hearings for their own department. They never came to the transportation meetings for the bonding and the transportation. The deputy comptroller did all of the accounting.
Yeah. Who would be the best mayor?
I have not picked anybody in the mayor's race because I have said I can work with anyone, and so I didn't ask anybody to endorse me, and vice versa. I don't want anybody to endorse me.
You don't have any opinions on which candidate would be best for the city?
It depends on where you're at. And I say that because I've been going around the entire city of St. Louis since September. There hasn't been one neighborhood association I haven't been to. I've been knocking doors nonstop.
What's your sense?
My sense is that, and this is my personal sense, there's no thing about I have this. I have a feeling this might be Michael, Butler, and Kara on the April ballot, and that's because of the snowstorm. Snowstorms have taken people's careers out, and people were mad. I could only knock on the south side of the street because the north side was solid ice. I was out knocking in 9-degree temperatures, but I couldn't go to the north side of the streets because they were solid ice.
So you think the mayor's disapproval ratings won't melt away as fast as the ice did?
Correct.
All right. She's a candidate for comptroller. Sorry, Donna Baringer. I almost called you Darlene there. I had to catch myself. That's the other candidate. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.